Story 1. The code of the culture, the greatest war of our time, isn't fought with weapons. It's a battle for the soul of the culture. The greatest war of our time isn't fought with weapons. It's a battle for the soul of the culture. And while the world sleeps, an elite agency moves in, silence protecting the future from the shadows. They're called the Keepers, a covert team trained in every form of knowledge, science, history, technology, and the sacred wisdom passed down through generations. They don't wear capes. They carry codes, DNA-level truth, encrypted inside the traditions of every culture they protect. From ancient libraries to martial arts dojos, from spoken word stages to cutting-edge classrooms, the Keepers move unseen. They're the guardians of street murals that speak volumes, the preservers of rituals that bind communities together in a world of noise. They are the whisper of authenticity. When the world started forgetting who they were, when poison hit the food, the music, the airwaves, when kids stopped dreaming big and started dying young, that wasn't a coincidence. The powers that be engineered a blackout, a silent war to erase roots, weaken minds, and sterilize greatness. It started subtly. A textbook here, a viral trend there. Soon, the very fabric of society began to fray. Traditions once held sacred were mocked as outdated. Heroes of the past were recast as villains. The rich tapestry of human culture was being bleached into a bland, corporate uniformity. But the Keepers saw it coming. They've been preparing for generations, passing down knowledge like precious heirlooms. In hidden enclaves and secret meetings, they kept the flame of truth burning. Agent 001 got the call at 3:33 a.m. A new AI was circulating fake history to millions of kids. It taught that leaders were villains, that greatness came from greed, and that culture was disposable. His mission: infiltrate the servers, rewrite the lie, restore the truth. But 001 didn't work alone. Behind him, the spirit of Malcolm, the brain of Maya, the will of Garvey, the rhythm of Nina, the code of Mandela. Legends, still alive inside the agency's mainframe. As one's fingers flew across the keyboard, digital ghosts of these titans appeared. Malcolm X's fiery determination fueled his resolve. Maya Angelou's poetic wisdom guided his words. Marcus Garvey's vision of unity strengthened his purpose. Nina Simone's soulful defiance echoed in every keystroke. Nelson Mandela's unwavering commitment to justice became his North Star. The battle wasn't bullets. It was data versus DNA. Lines of code clashed with ancestral memory. Each firewall 001 breached was like peeling back layers of lies, revealing the vibrant truth beneath. As dawn broke, one's work was done, but the real fight was just beginning. The antidote had to be delivered, not through force, but through culture itself. Suddenly, the culture woke up. Kids started asking questions. Why hadn't they heard these stories before? What else had been hidden from them? They dug into their roots, learning languages that grandparents had been forced to forget. They turned their pain into poetry, their anger into art, their confusion into curiosity. The darkness didn't see it coming. How could it? It had underestimated the power of truth, the resilience of culture. It had forgotten that DNA carries more than just physical traits. It carries the hopes, dreams, and wisdom of countless generations. In classrooms, students challenged sanitized versions of history. On social media, young influencers went viral sharing forgotten knowledge. In labs, scientists rediscovered traditional medicines, bridging the gap between ancient wisdom and modern technology. The Keepers watched from the shadows, their hearts swelling with pride. This was why they fought, not for glory or power, but for the right of every person to know their true heritage, to stand tall in the fullness of their cultural identity. But the war was far from over. The powers that be wouldn't give up easily. They had money, they had influence, they had the machinery of mass distraction at their fingertips. Already, they were regrouping, planning their next move. Agent 001 knew this was just the beginning. As he watched the sunrise, he felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. The next generation of Keepers would need to be even stronger, even smarter, even more dedicated to the truth. He thought of the kids out there, the ones who felt lost, disconnected from their roots, the ones who sensed that something was missing but couldn't quite put their finger on it. They were the future Keepers, whether they knew it or not. This is Inside-Feed Dies now. The war for culture is real, and the next agent might be you. In coffee shops and community centers, in online forums and offline gatherings, the Keepers continue their work. They're the teachers who go off script to share forgotten stories. They're the grandparents who insist on teaching the old ways. They're the artists and musicians who weave tradition into every creation. And they're the young people, The ones who refuse to be defined by algorithms or confined by borders. The ones who see the beauty in diversity and the strength in roots. They're the ones asking hard questions, challenging easy answers, and reimagining what it means to be human in a digital age. The keepers know that culture isn't static. It's not a museum piece to be preserved unchanged. It's a living, breathing thing that grows and evolves. But it needs nourishment. It needs protection. It needs people willing to stand up and say, "This matters." As night falls again, Agent 001 prepares for his next mission. The AI never sleeps, and neither can the keepers. But he's not tired. How can he be when there's so much at stake? He thinks of all the children yet to be born, all the stories yet to be told, all the wisdom yet to be shared. He thinks of you, reading this right now. Are you feeling that spark? That sense that you're part of something bigger than yourself? That's no accident. That's your cultural DNA singing out, reaching across time and space to connect you to your ancestors, your community, your true self. The choice is yours. Will you let that spark die out, smothered by the noise and distraction of a world that often seems designed to make you forget who you are? Or will you fan it into a flame, becoming a beacon of truth in a sea of confusion? The keepers are always watching, always recruiting. They see the fire in your eyes, the questions in your heart, the strength in your spirit. They know that every act of cultural preservation, every moment of genuine connection, every time you choose truth over convenience, it all adds up. You might not wear a cape or carry a badge, but make no mistake, if you're fighting to keep your culture alive, to pass on the wisdom of your elders, to create art that speaks to the soul, you're already one of us. You're a keeper. So what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it change you? Will you let it drive you to dig deeper, to ask harder questions, to stand firmer in your truth? Will you become the kind of person who future generations will look back on and say, "They kept the flame alive"? The war for the soul of culture rages on. Every day, choices are made that shape the future. What stories will be told? What traditions will be honored? What truths will be remembered? So what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it change you? Will you let it drive you to dig deeper, to ask harder questions, to stand firmer in your truth? Will you become the kind of person who future generations will look back on and say, "They kept the flame alive"? You have a role to play in this grand drama. Your voice matters. Your choice is matter. Your culture matters. So go forth, young keeper. Learn, create, preserve, share. Fight not with fists, but with wisdom. Not with hatred, but with love. Not with fear, but with hope. Remember, in a world trying to make you forget, remembering is a revolutionary act. Your very existence is resistance. Your joy is defiance. Your truth is power. The next chapter of this story is waiting to be written. And you, dear reader, hold the pen. Are you ready?